Acharya to relish his own sweetness. Mani Manjari appeared as Srinivas Acharya to relish some special mellows. After coming from Vrindavan with all the literatures written by the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Srinivas Acharya stayed at Vishnupur as the Raja Guru of King Bhiramvir. There he was worshipping his deity Vamshivadan. One day after his worship, Srinivas sat down to meditate upon the Nitya Leela of Lord Shri Krishna. Every day he would sit like this in meditation, and through his Siddha Deha, he would serve the Lord, returning again after some time to his Sadhana Deha. This was his regular routine. But on this particular day, time continued to pass and still he did not return to external consciousness. He had entered into the deepest region of meditation, his body completely stunned and so very still that he appeared not to be even breathing. Thus the whole day passed and still Srinivas sat in the same position. The entire night passed and still he did not move. Everyone became worried. And by the end of the second day, when there had still been no change in Srinivas's appearance, they became very anxious and a great panic ensued. Everyone thought Srinivas had entered eternally into the pastimes of the Lord and would any moment leave his body. Thus they began to lament. Many great personalities like King Bhiramvir, Vyam Acharya, Krishna Ballabh and Ballabhi Gaviraj came to see Srinivas in this condition. Holding a piece of cotton at Srinivas's nose, they understood that no breath was going in or out of his body. There were no symptoms of life. No one knew what to do, but finally they remembered Ramachandra Kaviraj, who was very dedicated to his Guru Srinivas Acharya. Only Kaviraj could understand the mind of the Acharya. There was no one equal to Kaviraj. In this, however, Ramachandra Kaviraj was not present there. News was sent to him and a party dispatched to bring him to Srinivas as soon as possible. Those close to Srinivas were worried. Ramachandra lived at such a great distance. What if in the meantime something inauspicious happened? Thus everyone was in anxiety. To their great surprise, however, on the third day, Ramachandra arrived there of his own accord. If one withdraws all his external thoughts and simply accepts Gurudev through his mind, words and heart as his everything, then the spiritual master becomes confined in the heart of that disciple. Ramachandra was that kind of a disciple, fully dedicated to his Guru. Thus he came to know of the situation of his Guru at Vishnupur and so he arrived there on the third day. Ramachandra Kaviraj pacified everyone at Vishnupur saying, "You should not be worried at all. Very soon the Acharya will return to his normal situation. I am going to enter into meditation to see where he is and what pastime he is absorbed in. Wherever he might have gone by the mercy of all of you, I will bring him back here very soon." Then Ramachandra offered his obeisances to Mother Gauranga Priya, the consort of Srinivas Acharya, and took his seat next to Srinivas. There he performed his meditation. Karuna Manjari had appeared as Ramachandra to relish some special rasa of Vraj, and Gadadhar Pandit had manifested in the body of Ramachandra to relish his own mellows. By his meditation, in the mood of Karuna Manjari, Ramachandra entered into the Nitya Leela of Radha Krishna. There he saw all the Manjaris were in great anxiety, searching for something in the waters of Yamuna. His Gurudev in his eternal form of Mani Manjari had joined in the search. Karuna Manjari approached Mani Manjari. Seeing Karuna, Mani Manjari was very happy. She said, "We are searching for the nose ring of Srimati Radharani. This morning when the Sakhis went to see Sri Radha, they noticed her nose ring was missing. They were very disturbed by this and ordered us to search for this ornament. Last night, Srimati was engaged in the Maharas pastime. Afterwards, while she sported in the Yamuna, she lost her nose ring without realizing. Thus, we are all here searching for the ornament. Ramachandra Kaviraj understood that Srinivas, in his Siddha form, had spent these 3 days searching for this ornament. It had not entered his mind to return to his manifested pastime before completing his Siddha form pastime. He understood that as long as this ornament found was not found, Srinivas would not come back to his manifested body. Depending upon the mercy of Guru, Ramachandra, in his Siddha form of Karuna Manjari, entered into the waters of Yamuna and began to search for the ornament. Due to the mercy of his Guru, Ramachandra was able to very soon find the ornament under a lotus leaf. Karuna Manjari gave the nose ring to Mani Manjari. In great ecstasy, Mani gave it to Guna Manjari, the eternal form of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who in turn gave it to Lalita Sakhi. Then Lalita took the nose ring to Radharani. Here it should be noted how, in the pastimes of the Lord, the mood of surrender is ever present. The gradual process of surrender is very important in spiritual life. There is no space for independence. Ramachandra could have given that ornament directly to Srimati Radharani to obtain her favor, but he did not do that. Though that would achieve the goal, still there would be no sense of spiritual pleasure. Added to that would be the defect of overstepping the Guru. This gradual process of surrender is essential in the life of sadhaka. Being very pleased that the ornament had been found, Srimati Radharani gave chewed betel nuts to Mani Manjari, who kept the tambula bound in her cloth. Meanwhile, at Vishnupur, everyone was sitting at the meditation place of Srinivas and Ramachandra. Suddenly, Srinivasacharya jumped up from his asana with a roaring sound and left his meditation. Ramachandra also rose from his asana. Seeing the two cherished devotees return to external consciousness, the residents of Vishnupur were greatly relieved. They started to dance and chant in ecstasy, glorifying Srinivas and Ramachandra. Suddenly, in the middle of their ecstasy, they were overcome by a most wonderful smell. Everyone was bewildered by that transcendental fragrance, and no one could ascertain where it was coming from. At that time, Srinivas remembered the tambula which was offered to him by the most merciful Radharani. He had kept it in his cloth. Srinivas untied his cloth, took out the tambula chewed by Radharani and gave it to Ramachandra. His wives and other most fortunate personalities gathered there. Everyone was astonished to see how the tambula had come from the transcendental realm to the material world. Thus Srinivasacharya was blessed by Srimati Radharani. Yeah, so these are our acharyas. They are all manjaris in the spiritual world, and they are meditating and they enter the pastimes of Radha Krishna. We see it's mentioned about the Dasa Nudas. So Ramachandra, he found the nose ring of Radharani, but he didn't give it directly to Radharani. He gave it to his guru Srinivasacharya, and who gave it further on to, let's see, who did it give it? Some other manjari he gave it to. And Gopal Bhatta.
Is Guna Manjari?
Yeah, Gopal Bhatt Goswami Guna Manjari, and who gave it further on to Lalita Sakhi. And then Radharani was very pleased and gave her chewed betel nut to Srinivasacharya, Mani Manjari. And when he awoke from the meditation, he had that remnants of Radharani. Because the Manjaris always take the remnants of Radharani. Radharani always takes the remnants of Krishna. I think Gaur Gopal Maharaj also. Gaur Govind Swami, sorry. Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj also went into this meditation, samadhi, right? And he came back after so many months.
Correct.
Yeah. So they will, he was absorbed in searching for the nose ring of Radharani with so much absorption and so much anxiety that he forgot to come back to his um, material manifestation, manifested body.
And the tambula he got was in the spiritual world, right? But then
Correct.
it didn't
Radharani
manifest.
gave.
But it was there with him in this world.
Correct. Yeah. Same thing happened with Raghunath Das Goswami, right? When he ate the rice, the remnants of Radharani in the sweet rice, and he faced stomach ache in the in the manifested form. Although he would eat only little buttermilk, and everybody was so when doctor came, he said it's because of overeating rice, sugar, and milk. And nobody could understand that because he only ate a little bit of buttermilk every day. But in his meditation, he ate a lot of sweet rice given by Radharani. So he was manifesting that. Same thing with that Brahmana who was cooking sweet rice for uh, Krishna, right? And he wanted to check whether it's cool. So he put his finger, and his finger got burnt in his body, physical body.
Okay, so okay, anybody like to say anything this pastime?
Yeah, I think from Nam, Roop, Gun, and Leela, and the advanced devotees, they enter into the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So we can pray that we may enter, and then we can keep on chanting. Sometimes the chanting becomes very dry, and we say that, oh, when will this chanting finish? But the advanced devotees, when they are chanting, they're meditating, they are in the pastime of Radha and Krishna, they don't want to stop, they keep going.
Okay. Anybody else like to say anything, share anything? Karthik Chandra Prabhu. We can't hear you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We
Able to
only
see?
see, we hear the child crying,
Oh, sorry.
but we can't hear him. Are you saying anything? Okay. All right. So, yeah, you want to say something, Karthik? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I muted you just because you are not saying anything. Okay. So next verse we'll read. मनोचिरात् स्याद् विरजाम् जीता श्वासस्य योगिना वायो अग्निभ्यां यथा लोभम मातम त्यजति vaimalam. The yogis who practice such breathing exercises are very soon freed from all mental disturbances. Just as gold, when put into fire and fanned with air, becomes free from all impurities. So it's the process of Ashtanga Yoga. Through that pranayam and this, then mental agitation becomes less. This process of purifying the mind is also recommended by Lord Chaitanya. He says that one should chant Hare Krishna. He says further, Param Vijayate, all glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. All glories are given to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Because as soon as one begins this process of chanting, the mind becomes purified. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is cleansed of the dirt that accumulates in the mind. One can purify the mind either by the breathing process or by the chanting process, just as one can purify gold by putting it in a fire and fanning it with a bellows. So previous age, Ashtanga Yoga and all that. But this age, Harinam Sankirtan. Okay. Anything on this?
Yesterday, Prabhu was saying that all other processes like deity worship, reading scriptures, and everything is meant for us to come to the point of knowing that chanting the holy name is everything. It will give us the highest perfection.
Correct. Yes. Prabhupada also said, I read all these books so that you can come to the point of chanting Hare Krishna. So, it is the essence of everything in this age. Jiva Goswami says, no process of worship is complete without chanting of the holy name. So, chanting of the holy name is the main important service in this age. Tar Madhya Sarvasreshta Nam Sankirtan. Pranayamair dahed doshan dharanabhischa kilbishan pratyaharena sansargan dhyanena anishvaran gunan. So chanting of the holy name is very simple and very easy. Prabhupada says we just have to sit down and hear the vibration. So it's very easy. But I have no taste for it. So that's what Lord Chaitanya said. Of course, you all have taste. You're chanting every day. And so much chanting. But how do we get taste for chanting?
By chanting attentively, carefully, Syat Krishna Nam Charitadi Stape Vidya Pitop Taptaran Rasanasya Naruchita. That verse.
Correct. Okay. So, by chanting, we will get, Prabhupada said, chanting, more chanting. And trying to follow the process and understanding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and trying to avoid the offenses. That's how we will get more taste for chanting. He was saying philosophy without religion is
Mental speculation.
And religion without philosophy is
Sentimentalism, and in extreme it becomes fanaticism.
okay. So both have to be there. Why we are chanting? What is the purpose of chanting? All this we should know. How we should chant. what consciousness we should chant. By practicing the process of pranayama, one can eradicate the contamination of his physiological condition, and by concentrating the mind, one can become free from all sinful activities. By restraining the senses, one can free himself from material association. And by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become free from the three modes of material attachment. According to Ayurvedic medical science, the three items, Kapha, Pitta, Vayu, phlegm, bile and air, maintain the physiological condition of the body. So this verse is saying that by practicing pranayama, we can become free from all sinful activities by concentrating the mind. And by restraining the senses, one can become free from material association. And by meditating on Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can become free from the three modes of material attachment. So Kapha, Pitta and Vayu are keeping our body fit. If they are in balance, when one thing goes out of balance, then there is disease and disturbance. Modern medical science does not accept this physiological analysis as valid, but the ancient Ayurvedic process of treatment is based upon these items. Ayurvedic treatment concerns itself with the cause of three elements. Vayu is the air in the body, has much to do with the mind. Like when we are angry, we breathe very quickly. When we are calm, our breathing is like slow, and so this pranayam. So by kapha, pitta, vayu, we can. Ayurveda controls these three elements, finds the problem with the three elements when there is a disease, which are mentioned in many places in the Bhagavatam as the basic conditions of the body. Here it is recommended that by practicing the breathing process of pranayama, one can be released from the contamination created by the principal physiological elements. By concentrating the mind, one can become free from sinful activities. But concentrating the mind on who? On Krishna. That we already know. Man mana bhava man bhakto. And by withdrawing the senses, one can free himself from material association. So the more we engage with the sense objects, the more the material association. So we have to withdraw the senses, like a example is given of
Tortoise,
tortoise.
which was his limbs in the shell.
Ultimately, one has to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to be elevated to the transcendental position where he is no longer affected by the three modes of material nature. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So first it seems like you just concentrate the mind. But ultimately Prabhupada says you have to meditate on the Supreme Lord. But Bhakti Yoga we directly meditate on the Supreme Lord, where he is no longer affected by the three modes of material nature. So thinking of Krishna is the remedy to become free from cure, to become free from the influence. Sattva, Rajas and Tama. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that one who engages himself in unalloyed devotional service at once becomes transcendent to the three modes of material nature and immediately realizes identification with Brahman. So fully engaged in pure devotional service. Which verse is that?
Which one? Translated into the three modes.
Yeah.
So, how does it start?
Mam chayo.
Mamsayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate saguran samatitityan brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Correct. So Prabhupada is quoting this line. Sa gunan samatit etan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So these modes, samatit etan, that is samatitai. Samatitya means transcend. So we go above the modes of nature. If we engage in Krishna's service unfailingly in all circumstances, that's how it is translated. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, means all the time engaging in full devotional service. Unfailing means not uninterrupted and unalloyed. Avyabhicharana is without fail. So one who engages in devotional service, of course unalloyed, and then here Prabhupada says unalloyed devotional service. Alloy means a mixture and unalloyed is no mixture. So we do devotional service all the time for the pleasure of Krishna. Then we will go about the modes of nature. Otherwise all these moods and all these mood swings and all these things affect us. For every item in the yoga system, there is a parallel activity in Bhakti Yoga. But the practice of Bhakti Yoga is easier for this age. What was introduced by Lord Chaitanya is not a new interpretation. Bhakti Yoga is a visible process, practical process that begins with chanting and hearing. Bhakti Yoga and other yogas have as their ultimate goal the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one is practical and the others are difficult. One has to purify his. So Bhakti Yoga is practical and it is joyful. It is the king of all knowledge. What is that verse? King of all knowledge. It gives direct perception of the self.
Rajavidya Rajagoyam Pavitramidamuttamam Pratakshavagamam Dharmayam Susukham Kartam Avyayam.
Okay. It is very joyfully performed. Pratyaksha Vagamam. What does that mean? Pratyaksha.
We can get direct perception, direct realization as we follow the process. We can see the results. It's a scientific process.
One has to purify his physiological condition by concentration and by restraint of the senses. Then he can fix his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Samadhi. So senses can only be controlled when can the senses only be controlled? When they are
engaged. So Savapadi Vinirmuktam Tatparat Vinirmuktam. Yeah, when you engage the senses in the service of the master of senses, Rishikesh, you can give up all the false designations and senses will be purified in the service of Krishna.
So practically how we engage our senses, what should we do?
Savai Mona Krishna Padaravendra, like Ambarish Maharaj. He used his mind in meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna. He uses words in glorifying Krishna. He used his hands in serving in the temple, cleaning the Lord's temple. His ears in hearing Shastra, Katha, and eyes in seeing the deity form of Krishna. Like that. His legs in traveling to the holy places and doing parikrama. Like all the senses of the body should be used all the time in service of Krishna. Even when we are working for office work, right? We should know that we are doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. So our mind should be absorbed. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, sorry to interrupt. You said something about herring. What is herring? Like, is that some activity?
Hearing.
Here.
Hearing. Shravanam. Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to say about engaging the senses? So, all the
Yeah, the
time.
most important is mind, right? Mind needs to be engaged, then all the senses, because above the senses is the mind, and
Hmm.
above mind is intelligence. So we build our spiritual intelligence that this world is dukhalyam, there is no material enjoyment. Then what are we seeking for? Anything, there is nothing here. So we can get um, supreme bliss and happiness, joy in serving Krishna. So that intelligence should be convinced, and then mind can be focused on Krishna.
How we can come to this realization that there is no enjoyment in this?
By hearing the words, hearing from those pure devotees who are convinced,
Hmm.
and our experiences, past experiences, or other people's experiences also can convince us. We have to, Shravanam Mananam, we just don't, go by the flow and, keep on. We have to stop and meditate and think what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada so many times is saying that there is misery, birth, death, old age, and disease, but we are not contemplating on it. We are not realizing it. Still, we keep on having material desires, and so we get another material body. So, I
So,
think you posted on WhatsApp, right? I was seeing that you had mentioned that in this material world, someone is enjoying and someone is not enjoying, but actually everyone is suffering. So Prabhupada wrote this an easy journey to other planets. Everybody is suffering, but they're not realizing that they're suffering.
and why would they be like sometimes? Why would they not realize?
Because they're getting little enjoyment, it's like mixed with suffering. So they are happy in taking those little bits of honey drops falling from the beehive, right? While in the midst of a dangerous condition. So that those few drops of honey or drop of water in the desert, that's what material happiness is keeping them. But they're not realizing that there is an ocean of happiness when they serve Radha and Krishna or go back home, back to Godhead. They're happy with just that mixed bag.
Hmm. Because sometimes we feel that unless we are in the center, then I enjoy my senses, I cannot be happy. But you are saying when we serve Radha Krishna's senses, then we will be happy. How to like that shift of consciousness has to happen, right? That it's not so that you saying that we are when we experience that we realize,
Yeah, correct. And we cannot experience that happiness in a material body because it's always, it's diminishing or what degenerating. Like every moment we are coming close to death, right? So disease, old age, and death is what is awaiting the material body. So we have to have a spiritual body for us to enjoy. And the condition for entering into the spiritual world is when you know that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And it's not about our enjoyment. Our enjoyment is a byproduct. It will come automatically. But to understand that Radha and Krishna are so very merciful, and they are our parents, and they will take care of us. And so if we serve them, I think everybody's our constitutional position is to serve, right? And we feel happy in serving. If we are not serving Radha Krishna, we are serving others, our senses, and nobody is as compassionate and merciful as Radha Krishna. So we have to serve anyway. So why don't we serve the best masters?
right? Okay, we'll go to next verse. Anybody else like to say anything? Yada manaha swam virajam yogena susumahitam kashtam bhagavato dhyayet swanasagra valokana. When the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of nose with half closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly mentioned here that one has to meditate upon the expansion of Vishnu. The word Kashtam refers to Paramatma, the expansion of Vishnu. Bhagavata refers to Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Godhead is Krishna, from him comes the first expansion Baldev, and from Baldev comes Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and many other forms, followed by the Purusha avatars. As mentioned in the previous verses, Purusharchanam, this Purusha is represented as the Paramatma or Super Soul. A description of the Super Soul upon whom one must meditate will be given in the following verses. In this verse, it is clearly stated that one must meditate by fixing the vision on the tip of the nose and concentrating one's mind on the Kala, or the plenary expansion of Vishnu. Kala niyamena tishtan. Ramadi murtishu kala niyamena. So Kala is the Paramatma, is the expansion of the expansion. As Prabhupada said here, that from Krishna comes the first expansion, Baldev. Baldev comes the Chaturvyu expansion. And then comes the Purusha avatars. And of the Purusha avatar, who is the Paramatma? In the heart. Which Purusha avatar is the
Shirodaksha Vishnu.
Shirodaksha Vishnu. And what are the three Purusha avatars?
Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu.
And another name of Mahavishnu is? Karanadaksha Vishnu. Because he is lying on the Shai means he is lying on this Karana ocean. Karana is called the causal ocean. Karan is the cause. We say Karan. Kya Karan hai? So causal ocean is called. And Garbhodaksha Vishnu is lying in the Garbha ocean. So that's why it's called. Shirodaksha Vishnu is lying in the Shira Sagar. So all the three Vishnus are lying according to the names. The ocean is named. And so that Paramatma is nothing but Shirodaksha Vishnu, who is the super soul of every living entity. In every living entity's heart, Krishna is there. So one reason of bowing down is we are bowing down to the Paramatma also. Krishna in the heart of that living entity. That's also there. And then Garbhodaksha Vishnu is also the super soul of this universe. And Mahavishnu is the super soul of all the universes. Like that you can say. Because Garbhodaksha Vishnu is related to one universe. Each bubble is a universe. And in that universe there is a Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So like that Shirodaksha Vishnu has expanded. So when Krishna comes in this material existence, he comes through Shirodaksha Vishnu. So like we see in Mathura, in the jail, Krishna first appeared in the four-handed Vishnu form, and then he changed to the two-handed. So it is said that Krishna comes through the agency of Shirodaksha Vishnu. First he appears as Shirodaksha Vishnu, and then he comes as... Of course it is non-different, but at the same time different. So we have the pastime where Mahavishnu also wants to see Krishna. Mahavishnu is Karanadaksha Vishnu. He wants to see Krishna. Krishna wants to see himself. Yes. Yeah, it's the expansion. You can say it's not different. it's the one candle lighting, but still Krishna exhibits qualities that Vishnu don't exhibit. So what are the four qualities Krishna exhibits that Vishnu does not exhibit?
Venu Madhuri, Rup Madhuri, Prem Madhuri, or Leela Madhuri.
You want to explain what is that?
Hmm?
What is the meaning of that? Because everybody may not know what is the meaning of this.
Rup Madhuri, like Krishna, has very beautiful, attractive features. Venu Madhuri has a flute. Prem Madhuri, he has loving associates. And Leela Madhuri performs transcendental loving pastimes.
And Balramji also has this four qualities. But what is the difference?
Sweetness is different. Level of sweetness.
Level of sweetness in Krishna's pastimes is greater than that of Balram. Balram also exhibits. He has his pastimes, he has his gopis, he has his Ras Leela. And he's also very beautiful. But Krishna's sweetness is something extraordinary. Like that. Vishnu also has. He's also very beautiful, Vishnu. But Krishna's is something extraordinary. So Mahavishnu also. It's the same person, just like in Gaur Leela, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see who he wanted to see. That then some rumor was there, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gopal, right? But he wanted to see the Gopal deity, right?
Gopal. Oh yeah. Madhavendra Puri's.
Gopal.
Yeah. So Gopal Diti came down from Govardhan Hill because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu couldn't climb up the Govardhan Hill.
Why would Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not climb up the Govardhan Hill?
Because Govardhan Hill is Krishna.
So it is considered the body of Krishna. So how can we step on the body of Krishna? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna only, but in the role of a devotee, he was thinking, how can I step on Krishna's body? So Gopal Diti was on top of Govardhan. So it's like Krishna wanting to see Krishna. Yeah, that's true. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see Gopal. He also wants to see Jagannath.
Yes, I was thinking the same.
So you can say, well, he is also, Jagannath is Krishna in separation of Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what?
Radharani in separation of Krishna.
Because Krishna has assumed the mood of Radharani. So that's why their meeting is very sweet. Actually, Gaur Govind Maharaj was narrating this pastime of how Jagannath and separation, I think, and he passed away. He was describing how Krishna looks at Radharani and what he feels like that. Describing this in the holy land of Mayapur.
And these devotees, they are feeling that bhav of Radharani. So when Radharani is feeling separation, so that's what Manjaris. The Manjaris, they are in Madhura Ras. Although they don't dance with Krishna, they don't have, conjugal pastimes with Krishna, but they are feeling what Radharani is feeling. So that's why they are in conjugal bhav. So when Radharani is feeling separation from Krishna, they also cry and feel that extent of separation, fire in their heart. So as you're saying, Gaur Govind Maharaj, when he's explaining, Radharani's separation from Krishna, he's feeling that bhav. So they cry. That's why they cry, because Radharani is crying.
Yeah, they feel for what the devotees are feeling. So, yeah, it's all about bhav. Okay. And that bhav, I think that bhav, asakti bhav, that is also there. Ruchi, asakti bhav, and prem. So that bhav is also you feeling separation from Krishna, and that bhav is also given by Radharani only, because she is the mistress of devotional service, or you can say everything. Our attraction from Krishna comes by the mercy of Radharani. And the Guru Parampara. Prasanna Vadana Bhojam. I may have to end little early today. Prasanna Vadanam Bhojam Padma Garbharunekshanam Nilotpala Dala Shyamam Sang Shankachakra Gadadharam. So then he sees in the heart this Paramatma is standing. He is standing because he is waiting. He is eagerly waiting. He is not sitting, he is standing. And the devotee sees Paramatma in the heart. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a cheerful, lotus-like countenance with ruddy eyes, like the interior of a lotus, and a swarthy body like the petals of a blue lotus. He bears a conch, discus, and mace in 3 of his hands. It is definitely recommended herein that one concentrate his mind upon the form of Vishnu. There are 12 different forms of Vishnu which are described in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Although Prabhupada says in 18th chapter, 65th verse in Bhagavad Gita, he says, we should concentrate our mind on the Shyam Sundar form, the form that was present before Arjuna, like that. So one should not divert his attention to any other form, but depending on our attraction, we can meditate on Lord Ramchandra, Lord Nrsimhadev, or whatever. One cannot concentrate his mind on anything void or impersonal. Means blanking out the mind is not always possible. We can blank out the mind, think of nothing, but in that state we can't stay forever. The mind should be fixed on the personal form of the Lord, whose attitude is cheerful and as described in this verse. Bhagavad Gita states the meditation on the impersonal or void features is very troublesome to the meditator. Which verse is that? Meditation.
क्लेशाधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसः अव्यक्तैगतो.
Yeah. 12th chapter, 5th verse. Those who are attached to the impersonal or void features of meditation have to undergo a difficult process because we are not accustomed to concentrating our minds upon anything impersonal. If mind is disturbed, then we take out all the negativities from the mind and we say just blank the mind. But there is positive of meditating on Krishna's qualities first, how he is so kind and how he is so merciful, how he is so compassionate, how he loves us so much. So like that, then when if the qualities of a person are very, very good, then we like to associate. We like to be with that person in his pastimes. Actually, such concentration is not even possible. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that one should concentrate his mind on the personality of Godhead, the color of personality of Godhead. Krishna is described here as Nilotpala Dala, meaning that it is like that of a lotus flower with petals tinted blue and white. People ask why Krishna is blue. The color of the Lord has not been imagined by an artist. It is described in authoritative scripture. In the Brahma Samhita also, the color of Krishna's body is compared to that of a bluish cloud. So somebody may say, well, I don't like blue color. I like this color. So, yeah, that is in our conditioning state. We say, I like this. Then tomorrow we may not like that. We may like something else. So, but actually, if you see Krishna's form, then one will be attracted. Then we may say, well, why Duryodhana was not attracted? Duryodhana was seeing Krishna, why was not attracted? He was not attracted because you have to have devotion in the heart to be attracted. So, Devotion is there with every living entity, but it's the anarthas that don't allow the devotion to manifest. That's why our attraction is not like so spontaneous to Lord and the Lord's service. The color of the Lord is not poetical imagination. There are authoritative descriptions in Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and many of the Puranas of the Lord's body, his weapons, and all other paraphernalia. The Lord's appearance is described here as Padma Garbhanurekshanam. His eyes resemble the inside of a lotus flower, and in his four hands he holds the four symbols: conch shell, discus, mace, and lotus. Okay, I have to stop here today, Lordly, because I have something to do here, but we will continue. Is that okay? Stop you, Lordly, today.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that, but thank you.